So today we're going to look into how do I deal with a negative sign inside my radicand. And so we're going to make use of the imaginary unit, which is defined as I equals to square root of -1. So the first step is just to take away the negative sign by writing out the I. So this pretty much becomes I, and whatever goes inside is 24x to the 9. Okay, so now we can work out with this one. So step 2 is find the largest perfect square. That's a factor of the number. So let's see some factors of 24. I know 8 times 3 is 24. Okay, so let's write that down. 8 times 3 is 24. How about x to the 9? So be careful. My 9 here is an odd number. So I may want to break it down with an even number. So closest even number is x to the 8 times x to the first. All right? Be careful when you multiply your variables, the exponents get added. So 8 plus 1 gives you 9 here. Okay. Now next step would be separate all of that into 2 square roots. So I really want to say maybe I would want to break down the 8 furthermore. Yeah, let's do that. So 8 would be 4 times 2 is 8, then the rest is 3 times x to the 8 times x to the first. Okay, now I want to break those down into separate square roots. So giving me radical 4 times radical 2 times radical 3 times radical x to the 8 times radical x to the first. Okay, what is square root of 4? I get a 2. Okay, so this is done. I'm going to write down 2i here. What is square root of x to the 8? Well, be careful. X is an even exponent, so you just divide the exponent, the number, by 2. So 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. So I'm going to have x to the 4 here. This is done. What else am I left with? Well, I have radical 2 and radical 3. So let's multiply them because they're inside the radical sign. 2 times 3 is 6. And then I have x to the 1 here, so just x. Okay, so this is inside my radical sign, and that is my answer. Okay, next up, let's look into this next question. Here, I am given a negative sign, so I'm going to rewrite it as it is, the negative sign, don't forget that. And then I'm going to take out the negative sign here, so I'm going to put my I, so I have a negative I here. And then inside here, I'm going to have 45x. Okay, now what are some factors of 45? I need largest factors of 45. 9 times 5 is 45. Okay, so 9 times 5, and then times x. Okay, then I'm going to separate this out. Square root of 9 times square root of 5 times square root of x. Okay, what do I know? Square root of 9 is 3. So 3, don't forget the negative from the negative I here. So negative 3i. And then what goes on inside my radical is really the 5x. And that would be my answer. Okay, next up we have a question like this. If I have radical negative 50, so first step, take out the negative sign so I can work with the radical inside. Radical 50 over radical 2. Okay. I know the largest factors of 50 are 25 times 2, okay, because we know 25 would be a perfect square, so let's work it out. 25 times 2 over radical 2 here. Square root of 25 is 5, so 5i, okay, times radical 2 over radical 2. These two crosses out. My answer is 5i. Is that an answer choice? Answer choice 3, okay? And that's pretty much it. Okay, let's further expand this into simplifying powers of I. Okay, so in order to know powers of I, you need to know the following. Powers of I, okay? I know that I to the first power equals to I squared equals to -1, I cubed equals negative I, and I to the fourth equals to 1. Okay? It goes like this, counterclockwise, and like that. Okay. Now, if I'm being asked to find the product of I cubed times I to the 7, I cubed times I to the 7, well, I'm going to just substitute in. I cubed is negative I to the 7, let's break it down. Can I break it down as I to the fourth times I cubed? Sure. So negative I times I to the fourth gives me 1. I cubed is negative I. Okay. So 1 times any number is 1. Negative times a negative gives me positive. I times I is I squared. What is I squared? Oh, it's negative 1. Hence, my answer becomes negative 1. And that's pretty much it. Now, let's say if the question was asking you to see what I to the 1 to the 262 is equivalent to, okay? If you're given like a big number like that, rather than breaking it down all the way from I to the 4 times I to the 4th, and then substituting all these values. There's a trick to this because we have 4 values of I. So you're going to divide the 262 by 4. Okay, when you do that, your answer is 65, remainder 2, and you're interested in what the remainder is. Okay, so then you're going to say, so I to the 262 equals, the remainder is 2, it means you're going to look for I squared. I squared is negative 1, okay? So I to the 262 is negative 1, okay? And that's pretty much it. Let's do one more. If I'm given I to the 37, okay? I'm going to just slide this up a little bit. I to the 37, so same thing. 37 divided by 4 gives me 9, remainder 1. And I'm interested in the remainder. It means I to the 1 power. I to the 1 power really is I. So my answer becomes, so I to the 37 equals to I, okay? And that's pretty much it. Feel free to ask me if you have any further questions. Have a nice day.